half of the session for this evening. We're going to do the practical exercise now. We're going to use Adobe Illustrator. It's a great design tool. Like I said, it's one of the most original design tools, in the modern day era. Even decades ago, most designers still resort to Illustrator to get a lot of these fundamental designs across. So let's go ahead and get started. Call to action, CTA phrase, often uses a marketing and advertising. It's mostly used in those fields. Direct request to user to take a specific action. Without this very powerful little element of design that you are going to create, this kind of is the decisive visual element that makes people make a decision to, well, obviously they made up their mind to buy something, but this will either entice them to follow up with it, or it's going to deter them not to do it. So it's up to you as a designer to make this appealing and executable and very easy to understand. So call to action. These actions can range from marketing a purchase or signing up for a newsletter, emails, okay, these kind of things. The CTA phrases are designed to be persuasive and clear, encouraging the user to take desired next step. There's a lot of tutorials on this stuff. We're not going to break down the science of call to actions, but you can see a lot of examples of them, right? How to write a call to action. This one's kind of interesting. With the best foundation, 54 words and 6 examples of that will unlock your creativity. Get more conversations now. It's a nice little bubble. I like this one because it's very fundamentally simple, and most templates use this format. You got let's break this down to HTML. You got your header 1, this is your header 2 or 3, and this is your button, right? That's how you can program this thing in HTML and CSS and put a call to action on a website. If it's a mobile app, you would code it in differently. It would actually be negotiable, fit into the screen. But that's how you can easily create a very easy to understand, similar to what we're doing right now, call to action. Okay, very distinctive, very easy to understand. And there's tons of examples. I'm sure you've seen your share of call to actions. There's even a lot of these little chat bots that show up right now. Okay, you can chat with a live agent. Those are other chat bubbles, special offers and things like that. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna use that example that I gave you, which is this one here. This is the bad one, right? And you can see a lot of bad ones on there. Let's make this one look better. So we're gonna right click, save this image on to your computer. I'm gonna put Illustrator over here. I'm gonna put my teams over here. And I'm gonna stick with this one over here. There's my 4 desktops. Okay, perfect. We're gonna start with the new file. Okay. How big should the call to action be? Anywhere from the hundreds of pixels, less than 1,000, I would assume, depending on the use. I would do a 700 pixels by 500 pixel dimension one for now. So we're going to change the units to pixels. First of all, you might want to select the web option in Illustrator. I don't know how much you've done web stuff in Illustrator. I know you do a lot of print stuff with Sheila and your packaging and other logo design and illustrations. But for web design, please don't neglect Illustrator. It's a very powerful tool for web too. Look at the things you can do with it, right? You can make icons, logos, UI kits, all that stuff, right? I'm gonna make you do the UI kit in, well, you could use, actually, I'll give you an option between Illustrator and Adobe XD, okay? But the UI kit you can do in Illustrator as well. Why? Why Illustrator? Why not Photoshop? Vector-based. And what does that mean? So what if it's vector? We're not printing it. Why do I care if it's vector? I'm gonna put it on a website, right? Isn't vector good for print, from what you guys understand now, right? Why is vector good for print? Right. It keeps the quality. It's scalable, right? This Coca-Cola logo, by the way, right? This is vector. I know this packaging company probably that does this. You can blow this up the size of that wall. It's not going to lose any quality at all, okay? Because it's vector. But for websites, who cares? It's on a screen. You're not going to blow up the screen, right? Well, now with the cell phone, the tablet, and the thing, you do still scale the logo. So it's still scalable. Plus, if you do enlarge it, it does still hold its value. Okay, because I'll show you some pixelated logos. They look horrible. Now they use SVG. There's another one. Speed. It loads faster. SVG files a lot faster than PNG or JPEG. So there's a lot of positives to using vector programs like Illustrator for web. And editability. How easy it is to edit an icon in Illustrator. You just change the color. Click on the icon, change the color. You don't have to use Photoshop, magic wand, and layers, and none of that stuff, right? So it's very versatile, and usable for many things in web. Let's go and make a web. And look, you have mobile. Look, you can do like a mobile prototype in Illustrator too. The only thing we can't do in Illustrator, what we can do in XD and Figma, is make it interactive. Right? So that's why we need to use those programs to make a real working, functioning prototype. This way it's going to look and feel like a real app. Whereas Illustrator only goes so far. Design, and that's it. All right, so let's go to web. Let's make sure the units are set to pixels. Let's go with 700 pixels by 500 pixels. And yes, we're doing pixels, no bleed. We're not printing this. We're always using RGB color model because we're using it for the monitor, the screen, the web, mobile, all RGB. And the resolution, of course, it's always screen resolution, even if it's raster effects. And we're going to click create. And this is our little bubble. And another thing I like Illustrator is when you do transparency. Because if you do a PNG or SVG, you can really do some neat things when it comes to exporting your graphics from Illustrator for websites. I know I did a lot of Photoshop with you last semester, so I don't want to be too repetitive and use Photoshop. That's why I'm switching to Illustrator. And honestly, Illustrator would be my choice because it's vector based and it's faster to work with. Like if I had to do, let's say, a promotion for a product on a website and I have to do like a, I don't know, 50% off or buy one, get one free, like how hard would it be for me to do like a little, like that little seal or star icon? So you simply go to the star tool. Remember the star tool here, right? But if you use the other hand, like this one, and you go up, you can make multiple stars. And if you hold the command key, you can do one of these, right? And now all of a sudden you have the beautiful seal of 50% off star, right? See, in Photoshop, this would take me a lot longer to produce, and a little more difficult than me doing it here and producing this nice little, silver seal design for #1 New York bestseller, right? So that's how fast Illustrator is, right? Do you know how to do this? Can you guys do this? Yeah. Okay. So this is you can use this with any of these polygon tools. And if you hold, you can actually click and then specify how many sides you want. But I love integrating the live feature because if you go up or down, you can control how many, look, triangle. You want triangles? There you go, right? The arrows up and down. Yeah, up and down. I'm controlling how many sides I want while I'm holding the mouse down, right? And that's why I like Illustrator, nice and fast, right? Not to mention some of the other things I'm sure you know how to do with when it comes to like even production work, right? If you're doing pre-press production, web production, like when you do like my favorite thing in Illustrator is this here, Command D, right? You guys know step and repeat, right? So if you do like let's say, oops. If you're doing like websites and you're doing different types of elements of design, I'm going to keep this all aligned. Let's say I want to align this perfectly, right? Look at this. I'm creating a website or a mobile app, and I'm creating menu buttons on the screen. Like, how do I get this to look all nice and perfect? So Illustrator is object-oriented, right? I mean, Photoshop can do this too, but Illustrator, you can select all 5. You go up here where it's open up the align panel, right? If you don't see it on the top there, you can first align them all together to the top of each other. So you can go align top. And then you can do distribute evenly center, right? And then when you group them, Command G, now you can go and center them to the screen. So like in 3 steps, I'm able to make this perfect looking menu on the whatever platform I'm designing. A website could be like a business card, even centering text, could be a brochure, a flyer, any design material that you're working on. Illustrator is a great tool because it's object oriented. And then not to mention the power of the step and repeats, because then, I don't know, these are not even, but can you imagine you were doing this like back and forth, like Command D, right? Like look how fast you can do things in Illustrator with step and repeats, right? Like I love step and repeat in Illustrator. It's like my favorite little trick, right? Without step and repeat, I don't even know if I'm going to even use Illustrator, right? So that's why I prefer Illustrator over Photoshop for production work. It's so much faster, quicker, and you get more results faster. It's a little more fundamentally, astute when it comes to working with these things. All right, so let's do the chat bubble now. We'll start with like a big base rectangle to start with. Not just a rectangle, but a rounded rectangle. So I'm gonna round this rectangle. How do you do that? You grab these little edges, right? How about if I only want to round these 3 and not that one? Right? Double click. And then and pull this one. Same thing. Uh-huh. With which tool? With the direct, with this one, right? See the direct, this is why the direct selection tool, and I'm asking these questions because some students are like, I forgot how to do that. Don't forget, Illustrator has all these different selection tools. The black one, the white one, I call them the gray one, whatever. This one with the white arrow tool without the plus on it, you can click on this corner, shift this corner, shift that corner. Notice how it did not select that one. I only selected those 3. If I want to do a call to action bubble, I can just simply round those 3 and I can leave that one alone. You see? So it's a lot faster and easier for me to control these things. Now let's go back to 2016. What were you doing in 2016? 2016. That was 9 years ago. Huh? You were in high school, right? You were probably using Illustrator back then, probably. You guys had Photoshop class, I'm sure. Oh, we had high school students come once in my old academy that we used to work at. You know how this was done in 2016? I had to make a circle, Pathfinder, unite the shapes, make a bubble, guys. There was no round option in Illustrator. You understand? I couldn't do it this fast. So Illustrator evolved a lot in the past 9 years. Even before that, there was no artboards. Do you remember Illustrator had only one artboard? Yeah, you couldn't do, if you want to do a multiple page document, you have to do a separate file in Illustrator. And then in PDF, you have to make together, put the PDFs in one document. It was a process. Now you can do multiple artboards. You can do a lot more advanced features or features that you guys, I'm not saying you take it for granted, but you're like, well, what do you mean it didn't have artboards? No, it didn't have artboards. You had to literally do one artboard at a time. Okay, anyway, so enough with the history lesson, but this is the stuff that took us a long time to do, and now it's so much easier. I'm going to use this example for the chat bubble. I'm going to place the example here. Oh, I guess I didn't download it properly. So if you want to download this file quickly, you know what? Instead of just doing that, let's just screen capture it. Do you know how to screen capture, copy, and paste at the same time? I'm looking at your computers, Mac, PC, Mac, PC, PC, Mac. So on the Mac, I will do Command-Shift-4. Now watch what I'll do. I'll hold Control on the keyboard, Control, and I'm going to make the selection here. I let go. You can grab anything, anywhere on the internet to do a basic comparison. You let go of Control. You go back to Illustrator, right? Paste. Yeah. So you need 4 hands for this, okay? Your toes, your hands, everything, all in one. So Command-Shift-4, hold Control, make a selection, keep holding Control. That puts it in RAM, which is random access memory, like copy and paste basically. So it's copy and paste in executing a screen capture. Alternatively, you could do this. You could do Command-Shift-4. You guys know Command-Shift-4. You screen capture, you go to Illustrator, and you place the picture, right? But if you want to paste it, instead of placing it, you hold Control and you just hit Control-V, Command-V to paste. So it's a little faster if you want to do this. It's RAM. It's, you know, like when you copy something, there's no folder. It's
We did it with a different. No, we did it with a different time here.
What, the one that follow you?
Yep. Ah,
Yeah, so I'm sleeping here.
but I don't have it.
Well, it's just Thursday in the top line. It's here. You want it to be here? I can put it here.
Well, but we don't need the prints because.
Yeah, you can just use this as a visual if you like. It's up to you guys, but
But we want the sponsor to be there.
just a reference, that's right. Because our clients gave us this bubble and said, make it better. We have to improve. Customers are not signing up. We don't know why. So we're like, you know, maybe because you don't have a nice looking chat bubble, let's improve the design elements and make it better. It's like a case scenario here. You can make, yeah, do whatever you want. I'm just kind of going along with you and doing something together with you, but you can do whatever you want and make it like as different as you want it to be. So I will integrate the gradient tool. How come I can't see? And I'm going to teach you some advanced stuff in Illustrator. Maybe you don't know yet. Maybe some tricks for web stuff. Okay, so that's why I like to take this opportunity. How come I can't see my gradient annotator? I call it irritator, but annotator. You know what I'm talking about? You know that gradient thing? Where is it? How come I can't see it? Troubleshooting 101. This is what happens if I had an every time I get students asking me this question, like, where's my gradient annotator? What's happening here? Why can't I see this? Okay, here's why. Most people would click on the stroke instead of the fill, and they're doing a gradient, and they can't see the annotator because they have the stroke highlighted instead of the fill. Simple things like this create chaos and problems. So unless you have the right, you know, elements in front of you, like if this is in front, the fill, if you address the fill, now you have the annotator visible. Common things that happen all the time in Illustrator. So I just started pointing it out. Another thing, matching colors with the gradients. You have the eyedropper tool, so you could kind of do a nice color match with that gold. And then we'll grab another. You can use a different text if you want. Yeah. Oh, you mean enter to win? Yeah, it's kind of like the same kind of thing. You want to put something else? I guess you can, but we're gonna go. It's a contest to enter to win. We want as many customer emails to gather as our platform is to gather information. So we want to create a nice call to action, transparent bubble. Why am I making it transparent? This white edge, look, it'll be like this. It'll be transparent. You won't see the white edges when I export this. I just can't erase the canvas because that's the default. The canvas is a white background, so I'm going to leave that as is for now. So now we're going to use enter to win. I'm going to use the type tool. Am I drawing a text box and then typing enter to win? Or should I just make a text field? What do you think? Am I doing this in a text box? Do you know the difference between a text box and a text field? This is a text box. Text box is good if you do like bodies of text. If you're doing things like this, I'm not a fan of text because look, the text box, you can't resize it. It does flowing, see? That's what the text box does. It's like InDesign. InDesign uses text boxes no matter what. But Illustrator and Photoshop, you just use a text field, which is a lot more manageable and design friendly. So what I would do in this case is perhaps I would not draw a text box. I would just click and type instead of clicking and dragging. So if you just type something, now look at the difference. I can grab this and scale it like this. So it's more user friendly from a design standpoint. And then you can win your, you can do your bubble that way. I'm going to choose Myriad as my font because it has multiple styles. So we'll go with Myriad Bold because this is my top heading. Yeah, so instead of like drawing a text box, right? And a text box does this. I want to be able to resize this freely. I want to be able to do this, you know what I mean? In order for me to do that, I can't use a text box. Rather than click and type, right? If you click and type, then this becomes a text field, not a text box, right? It's a lot easier to use. You follow me? You just click and just type. Another thing I love Illustrator over Photoshop is that if you do any stuff with UX design, you can do type on a path very easily. That means you can create almost any shape and you can draw a path on it. Have you guys done type on a path? Yeah. Right. So that's a very, very useful thing, right? Just to quickly show you that other, like watch this. I'll do you see this path here? I'll draw like a nice simple path like this. So this path now, I'm going to convert it to a stroke, right? If I want to put path or text that goes on this, you can simply use the text tool, and not just an ordinary text tool, but type on the path tool, and you can simply click on the beginning here, and you can type your text. This is very unique because, you know, doing this in Photoshop and InDesign is very difficult. Illustrator, very easy, right? So I'm just pointing out the advantages of Illustrator over the other programs you're learning, if in case you want to like develop or design things that will help you with the stuff that we're, you know, creating in the next few weeks. Illustrator definitely is the game changer when it comes to this stuff. Not that you're going to do this type on a path, but in case you have like a circle, oval shape, a logo, a banner that goes in an elliptical fashion, you can do some really cool things with it. Okay, next one, next line. Watch this. I'm just going to go click. And we're going to type go on a trip of a lifetime with your family. And this will be a different style. I'm going to use a semi-bold style, and I'm going to make the font smaller. How am I doing this with my keyboard shortcuts? You guys know that shortcut? No? This is you got to learn this one. This one is universal all over the world. Microsoft, Adobe, Google, not really. You got to use Command Shift plus. It's Command Shift, comma or period, less than, greater than brackets. So if like watch this. If I highlight the text, if you have a PC, it's Control Shift. and comma, period. Or, you know, the brackets that go like this, greater than, less than. So Command Shift, bigger, smaller. This one is your, like your next to copy and paste. This is the most commonly used shortcut to increase text, decrease text. It works in Microsoft Word. You know that? It does. If to be more incremental, you could go use the, again, Control T or Command T. You can then use the type palette to go more with increments, you know, 27, 28. You can type a number and stuff like that. Of course, I don't know if you guys use the grid or not. The grid is useful. Like the guides, you open the rulers. You can drag a ruler here and draw a nice guide to keep everything aligned in a symmetrical fashion. I want this to be a different color from like a free-form design. I don't know if you know this one here. I mean, you could do, there's many eraser, like I like the knife tool, right? It's a little dangerous sometimes, but if you know how to use it properly, it does a good job. So watch this. You simply go like this, around and about, like that. But just cut the thing in half. Because it's very like fluent. So if you keep a steady hand with the knife, you go like this, like that. And I kind of went from here, and I went that way. And I just sliced these two objects together. So now I can just have them behave separately. So this is separate than that. I can make it a different grade and attribute. I can make it a different light, different shade, different dimension. I can do some pretty cool things. If I was to attempt this in Photoshop, I would end up with like 7 layers already. I'm not even looking at layers right now. I'm totally focused on design. I'm not focusing on attributes and technical data like layers and management and things like that. That's why, again, in Illustrator is more intuitive from a designer's approach. So for this one, I'm just gonna simply the knife tool, which is right over here. It's near the eraser tool. It's called the knife tool. And I just sliced it right in half. I went like this. Does it go jaggedy? It does, but when you kind of like just go nice and smooth, and then let go. If you want to do really up, if you want to show you another way to do this, let me show you another way, okay? Let me do it again. Here, let me press undo. Ready? Let me do it one more time. So here's 2 options. The knife tool, right? The knife tool came out later in the years of Illustrator. There was no knife tool. The scissors have been around as much as I have in Illustrator. They've been around a long time. And the scissors is how we use most of the time to cut objects. Have you guys used the scissors before? Okay, so let me do the scissors first. So you ready? Watch the scissors. Watch this. First you select the object, right? Where do you want to cut it? I want to cut it here. I want to cut it there. And I want to basically split this in half, correct? So I can cut it right here. With the scissors, I go like cut, right? And over here, I'm going to cut. Right? So now I'm going to go use the selection tool and separate the two. You see? You go cut, like a rope. You're cutting 2 ends of the rope. Here's the problem though. This is an open shape. It's not closed. So is this one. So you have to either close it or do something. So if I want to close the shape, I'll use you guys know the pen tool, right? You should know the pen tool. But now, remember you guys used the last. So watch what I'll do now. I'm going to basically do this. Now I'm going to close it with that. So I made a nice round design. With the pen tool, I kind of rejoined this path. I reconnected it basically. You don't have to. You can just go join. But let me not get too fancy. I'll just do this. Let me just do this instead. Ready? Watch this. I'm going to click this point, 2 endpoints. Join is Command J. If you press Command J, it just joins the path. You see? You can also watch. I'll do the same thing here. This and this object path join. Command J joins those paths. So now you have 2 different paths. You can kind of combine that way. Just 2 shapes now. So it's a pretty useful feature if you want to use it for different things. I'm gonna just reconstruct this one a little more. Right? Are you using the white arrow tool? Oh no. Yeah, use that one. Yeah. The white arrow tool, deselect, reselect. Here, wait. There's, you can click on it. Whatever. You can use separately. And notice how I took out the outline, because once you have an outline, you can see the separation. So I made sure the outline is no stroke. So always take out the outline to have a nice clean look, right? So now we're doing this bubble here to fill out an email form when people type their email. I'm just going to use a rectangle tool, a very simple rectangle tool, and I'm going to use a basic, maybe a black and white gradient by simply going to this tool here. And honestly, I'm going to go with maybe a very, there's your swatches. You can then pick a very light gray value or a darker gray value. I'm going to go with one of these. Just keep it simple. I didn't use the pencil tool to, you can do that. Actually, that's another tool that does that. But what I did was I just kind of with the pen tool. This one I just went straight with Command J. When you use the white arrow tool, you click on this point, you hold Shift, you click on the other point, and you press Control J. Here's the knife. Watch. Let me show you again the knife tool. I'll do a separate object here. Look at this. I'll make a Pepsi logo. Remember the Pepsi logo? The Pepsi logo is blue and red. You ready? Here's the logo. Here's the knife tool. The knife tool is where the scissors is, right? So you go like this, like that, right? Yin yang or whatever. And you can do another one. No, watch one more. There you go. Now I got three. I'm just kind of going. I have a mouse. You guys are using all touch pads and stuff. I use the right hand tool even better. So you go like this. Look, go like this, like that. Go like this, like that. And then you can change the colors. Yeah, you can then go use the white arrow tool, and you can then go here and you can change the parameters of that. You can change the path. Yeah, you can fix it. Right. Yeah. So then, so the thing is this. Once you use the knife tool, right? Make sure it's selected, right? Make sure it's selected. Then you cut it, right? Then you go with the group selection tool or the black selection tool, and you just separate it. Move it around. Oh, let me come and look.
Oh, you just move this one. So select the object.
Like it.
You select the object that you want to create. Which one is it?
It's three boxes.
So hold shift and select the object.
Go.
And then
Something happened, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Oh, it says no.
Maybe you drew a line, I don't know. Do it again. Do it again from the beginning, it should work. Do the circle again, practice on the circle,
Yeah.
and then practice on the bow. You did something different, that's why it's not working. I don't know, you were experimenting something, so. Okay? Focus. Don't worry if you don't do this stuff, this fancy stuff. I'm showing you stuff that I know you probably weren't taught before, just teach you different things you can use for UX design, so. You wanna learn new stuff, that's what it's all about, right? Oh, how slow do you want me to cut the shape? I go really slowly, then I'm not gonna do it smooth. If I go too slow, it's gonna go. So here's the thing, I noticed some of you experimented too much. If it doesn't work, you probably tried different things, do it again. Basically, here. Delete everything. Look, draw a circle, watch this. Draw a simple circle, doesn't have to be a gradient, could be a solid blue, red. And then once the circle's selected, watch carefully now, ready? You select the knife tool, right? And all you do, you cut it in half, like that. I'm swiping the hand. As soon as I let go, it's done. You understand? And then you go use any selection tool, black or white, deselect, reselect, and move it around. I can't go slower than that. Try it though, right? Okay. Works, okay. Here's another cool tip. I'll give you one more, okay? Since I see you guys are not really integrating these techniques a lot, which is again, like Illustrator's got so many things. I know you guys using the mesh tool. That's cool, right? For colors and stuff. The mesh tool is good. But this one here, look, I'll do a solid color, right? So this red color, the red circle. Watch this one now. You're gonna love this one. The line tool. Look what I'll do with the line tool. I'll press D for default. I'm gonna draw a line like this. I'm gonna draw a line like that. I'm gonna draw a line like this and a line like that. Right? Yeah, Japanese symbol, like native Japanese. So what am I gonna do with this? This is the thing Illustrator always had a problem with. How do I break up all these shapes separately? I want to be able to change the colors of all these shapes. So by me intersecting lines on a shape, it's unheard of. Not until this tool came into existence. Pathfinder works too. But watch this. There is also this thing called what the heck is it? Shape Builder, that's right. So Shape Builder and the Live Paint Bucket. Once you go to Shape Builder, you can then select your shapes and you can fill them with the paint bucket tool. Watch this, with the right and left, we can pick colors and you can just go ahead and click inside the available shapes. So this is a cool little feature that you can do in Illustrator too, right? But this is not, honestly, I don't know how useful this can be for you, right? You're gonna do like a logo, yeah. A mosaic logo, right? But it does have some interesting ways of doing things that other programs don't. So especially for when we're doing UX stuff like buttons, icon symbols, bubbles. It's faster than any other. Even Figma and XD cannot touch Illustrator, guys. Don't think Figma and XD is better. Illustrator is still a better design tool. Okay? But then with those programs, we can do different things that Illustrator can't. So now let's finish this here. We're gonna do another field here, typing in by submitting. This is the legal agreement. Agree to our terms. And this will be a nice, very simple, light font. So I'm using different fonts here. So we're just trying to make this look better. Not necessarily. You can use any color you want. Just make it a little more better. Use good use of font families, bold, semi-bold, visible areas, visible elements. Enter today. This is another call to action. We're going to do a rounded rectangle tool if we need to. Well, this should be a little higher. I like to use the eyedropper a lot because I can copy the same thing here and there. It's like a nice little gradient fill that I copied over. This will be reversed. Enter today. I mean, you could reuse. Look, I can reuse some of these other elements and then copy and paste them, resize them, and just put them in place. And you're going to align these properly as well. I don't know about the black outline, might be a little too strong. I'm gonna keep it simple. Enter today. And then you have something similar. Well, this is supposed to be very fainted as well. With the email in here. Your email address. Usually you have a prefix. And this can be very light. I'll even control the opacity to like 50%. So it's barely visible. It's like barely highlighted, so you can see it. A little too fancy for a bubble. I mean, I just showed you that angle, but I'll just go with it. I'm not gonna get too fancy about this thing. But definitely an improvement from the previous one. Now, how do we make it an actual design file to share it onto that little chat? I want to see what you guys did with this bubble as well. So I will now show you how to export this and upload it to your to the design discussion board that I made for this class. So first, we always save the Illustrator format. That means you can always edit it. Maybe I have a typo, I spelled something wrong. I want to change the color, I want to edit. Illustrator is always required for you to have. So first and foremost, save the Illustrator file. I'm just going to change this to more contrast. So save the Illustrator file. You always save as on the computer. Adobe Illustrator. You guys ever use EPS formats? No? EPS? What does EPS stand for? EPS is what makes revolutionized prints, a PostScript. How do you think your resume looks nice when you print it on the printer? Because of this, PostScript. PostScript is the fonts that are embedded in the language of the machines that print perfect. That's why when you print from Microsoft Word, you print text files, documents, it's perfectly legible because of EPS. So Illustrator is able to make EPS files. So if you ever do promotional marketing for a company, a logo, let's say you're making a Nike logo, you give them an EPS file. Because then they can put it on a t-shirt, a golf shirt, a hat. The machines understand it. They can embroider it on a t-shirt. That's how you communicate with Illustrator to all the machines in the world. EPS.
Square.
Sorry?
Dot per square.
Dot per square. Yeah, that's right. It has a machine language in it. What's like a thing? In PostScript is a mathematical language too, right? There's the PDF, as we all know, PDF document format, portable. So everybody opens PDF. That's for documentation. But for logos, professional programs, only a very, very few programs in the world can produce and open EPS files. Illustrator is one of them. Just remember that, okay? So we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to save Illustrator. We're going to call this call to action bubble. When you do save as, it's always under save as, right? If you save a copy, then you get to see the other miscellaneous formats, copy formats. And then you also have exports. See, many ways to get this thing out, right? Save a copy gives you, actually, save a copy gives you the same save as options as well. Export gives you the special ones. So to save stuff for the web, social media, from Illustrator. So far, it's all print. When you deal with web, export as. There's also save for web. So if you do one of those, you can kind of see it as well. Here I have a PNG. What's the difference between 8 and 24 PNG? 8 bits, if you remember the old video games, was 256 colors, very limited. 8-bit technology was in the early 90s, right? Then came 16-bit, thousands of colors. The monitors got better, crispier. Then came 32-bit, millions of colors. So when you do 32-bit, it's a lot better quality. The edges are cleaner. If you guys have you seen like old websites with the bad edges? They got the white crud around it. They're not clean, the logo, they're very choppy. That's because they're using 8-bit technology. If you want to get the best technology for mobile devices, websites, electronic products, go with 24 bits. They used to say 24-bit. PNG 24, the best thing since sliced bread, because it was really cool at the time. Right now, you even have the WebP format, which is the Google web production format. So PNG 24, transparency on. This is the big thing. JPEG does not support transparency. PNG does. So PNG 24, transparency. This call to action bubble will look pretty good when you put in WordPress or when you put in HTML or CSS or whatever design program you want to use. I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button now. And there's the width and height. Sure. So file export and then save for web legacy, that one. And then I got here. Okay. You get it? Well, here, images only. And you know what's funny? Like 5 years ago, Illustrator had the same thing Photoshop had HTML and images as well. But it was so horrible that why would you do HTML in Illustrator? It was pointless. Photoshop still has a purpose is you can do like a mock-up for a browser. You can basically do like a quick website mock-up in Photoshop, not interactive, just laid out. But Illustrator said, forget it. We're just gonna stick with images. It makes sense. So images only. There's no other option. As you can see on the desktop, save. Sorry. So again, I obtained that option. Everything I'm showing you right now was under export, save for web. Let me do it again. PNG 24, transparency is on, checked on. PNG 24 is selected with transparency on. You can see the checkers show up in the background. That's another indicator that you're getting transparency. Because you know what happens when you have transparency, right? It looks nice and cool. Like you can superimpose that on videos and websites and all kinds of cool stuff. So then you hit save, okay? And it should look like this. Now on the Mac, it's a cool way to demonstrate this, this effect, because you can basically do that. Look, you can see right through it. See how clean that is? See right through it. And that's how it'll look like on any overlay effect. You can probably think of, well, let's see, look, it's totally transparent. PNG 24 bread. The best thing since sliced bread. That's what we used to call it. All right, so now let's upload that on our design chat and we can kind of see where everyone is creating nice call to action bubbles that you might one day you might use in your UI kit. You might use it in a website. You might use this in an app or some kind. It's a good way for you to understand how the process is involved in creating small things, bigger things as we move along. Yeah. So now we're gonna go and I'm gonna put this away. So now, if I'm you, I would go here. By the way, if you don't finish it tonight, do it like this week sometime, okay? But I want you to practice this technique I showed you. Click on design discussion. I made one for us. If you click here, you can go to, oh, look, Angeli already did something. Where is Angeli? Very good. See? Nice. See, enter to win. There's Pratik. Where's Pratik? Very nicely done. Very good. You see, a lot better than the other ones there. So I'm going to upload mine now, and you can do the same, the rest of you that haven't. I'm going to go post a response, and then, you know, here is mine. And I'm going to go to the, there's the, look, attachments. It's like an email, right? Email client. You click on the attachment link. You go to the desktop, call to action bubble, and view and download. Just hit save, and it should be uploaded. Don't forget to hit the post button, otherwise it won't post. Now I posted my chat bubble button, right? So just show me your PNG file. Please don't put the Illustrator file here, because Illustrator won't be read. It's a very specialized format. The only thing you can put in a browser is PNG, JPEG, GIF, those kind of files. So put your PNG here, and we can all see it. So let me just refresh my browser. Then I'll put, there's Hector's, very nice. And there's Gretel. Did you put yours? There. Oh, there we go. Sharmila, Manuela, there it is there. There's Pratik. All right. I think almost. Okay, you guys can go home now. Those of you that did the bubble. Those of you now, you gotta finish the bubble already. See, you see how all of us came up with solutions, right? They all look different, nicely designed, right? Very vibrant, live, ready to go. The thing is, we're gonna learn also consistency. If you do like a UI kit, you gotta do like colors have to match the buttons, the layout. You have to like a color bar chart and things like that. You have to create as you do this. All right. So again, maybe we'll do like one more session of Illustrator another time. we're gonna do a UI kit, okay? So you're gonna do a lot of cool design elements in Illustrator, and then we'll slowly get into like, you know, XD, Figma, and all those other programs. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording now. That was the last part of this evening. Nice way to wrap it up as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, thank you. Bye for now. Have a good evening. Until next time. Bye for now.